everyone had overlooked. Timelines were created by TikTok creators. Thousands of words were used in Twitter threads. Convinced that the truth was right in front of them, everyone turned into detectives. That afternoon, Towanda attempted to log on once, but she quickly logged out again. The remarks were harsh. She was directly accused of stealing by several. Others pleaded with her to explain. Neither could she. Someone close to her claims that she stayed in her car for almost an hour, tears streaming down her lap as she stared at the driving wheel. "I gave everything," she insisted. "I provided." Tamar went live that night, her eyes blazing but exhausted. "Everything, and this is how it ends." She said that she hadn't intended to divulge anything that evening and that she was pushed too far during what she called one of the darkest periods of her life. She asserted that the money was meant to be there when she needed it most. She refrained from crying. Viewers were divided by that as well. Some believed she was credible because of her composure. It made her vicious. According to others, Tamar took direct aim at that. "I've already shed all of my tears. Now I just want answers," she stated. There was then another leak. This is a purported correspondence. Someone wrote about temporarily transferring money to prevent outside issues. Another response cautioned that doing so without complete disclosure could permanently undermine trust. The dates correspond to the time frame Tamar mentioned. Even though some of the sender identities were removed, there was still enough to cause mayhem. In one response, Tanda's name was included with the words, "I'll take care of it." These 3 words now held a great deal of weight. Tawanda's response was instinctive and quick. She reportedly, before losing it all, someone who overheard her that evening claimed that her cries were frantic and terrified. Message had leaked. Tamar was already planning her next move at that point. Insiders claimed that if Towanda attempted to fabricate the tale, she had more screenshots, messages, and evidence that she was prepared to share. She felt empowered. Even righteous. She was toughened by years of rejection. She said to a close friend that she wasn't attempting to ruin her sister, but she was also no longer going to defend lies. When Tanda read it by herself at home, something inside of her finally snapped. She picked up her phone and entered a message that she had not intended to send, raw and unadulterated. It was addressed to Tamar. "I'll put anything out if you want it." It was readable. However, once I expressed my knowledge, there is no turning back. Before sending it, she gave it a long look. Tamar noticed it nearly right away and she didn't answer for the first time since this whole thing started. After Tamar read that note, there was more stillness than any disagreement they had ever had. According to those close to her, she read Tawanda's comments again while staring at her phone till the screen faded. "There is no turning back." That wasn't dangerous. It served as a caution. Tamar felt a twist in her chest that wasn't anger for the first time since she'd spoken about the missing money. It was fear. Tanda, however, felt oddly serene. It was stable in a manner she hadn't felt in years. Yet, it wasn't serene or relieved. The serenity that results from realizing you've already lost everything you were attempting to defend. She began collecting items, including phones she had stored in a drawer because she couldn't bring herself to erase them, old notebooks, and email printouts she had never thrown away. Every object felt like a brick taken from a wall she had constructed in order to survive. Another insider spoke up by noon. This person is claiming to be a former assistant who worked for the family at the precise time the money vanished. They talked about pandemonium, last-minute contract changes, mounting bills, and one sister freaking out behind closed doors, while the other attempted to maintain a flawless exterior. They said that the $50,000 was more than just cash in an account. It was a lifeline designed to deal with a private and urgent matter. Trust disappeared along with that lifeline. The assistant implied that the urgency had to do with someone who wasn't a member of the immediate family and whose name had been carefully omitted from all correspondence. Fans went crazy over that detail. There was a lot of speculation. Was it a manager, a partner, or a covert deal that nobody was supposed to be aware of? Darker, angrier, and more intrusive remarks were made. People no longer merely wanted to know what had happened. They wanted Takno, who, at last, the mother addressed Towanda directly. Someone who overheard the call described it as one of the most agonizing discussions they had ever had. Reminding daughter of all they had endured together, the mother pleaded with her to halt this before it became any worse. After listening patiently, Tanda apparently murmured something that made her mother cry. She said, "I've already given myself up once. I'm unable to do it once again." Tamar sensed that change as well. For the first time since the revelation, she shared a little video in which her voice was shaking. She stated that she could no longer pretend, even though she never wanted this to become a public trial. She acknowledged that she had withheld some information out of fear and had not yet disclosed it. Fear of causing harm to those she cared about and fear of being held accountable once more. "But I won't be scared into silence," she declared. Towanda replied, "Not this time." But she didn't include receipts. It involved a tale. She abruptly went live. No warning, no announcement. Her eyes were sunken and her face was worn out, as if she had been crying for days. At first, she made no mention of the 50,000. Rather, she described years of being the one in charge, the one who fixed things, and the sister who everyone turned to when things went wrong. She discussed being trusted with items that no one else dared to handle. Her voice broke halfway through. She acknowledged that there was a time when things were going south and a hasty choice had to be made. She claimed to have been informed that it was only temporary. She expressed her belief that she was shielding the family from a far worse situation. She didn't claim to have moved the money, but she also didn't claim to have taken it for herself. The internet went crazy. Tamar's hands trembled as she watched in real time. This seemed like confirmation to her. It seemed to Towanda supporters that someone had finally explained the unworkable situation she had been placed in. A few minutes later, Tamar broke her own stillness with one post. Temporary does not equate to secret. The next leak appeared at that time. Days after the money vanished, Towanda and an unidentified individual had a private text conversation. "I did what I had to do. I hope one day they understand." Towanda wrote in it. The response was icy and defensive, being made without her input, and about being expected to move on and smile. Another message, more irate than the last one, was sent to Wanda. It said, "More irate than the last one," was sent to Wanda. It said, "You don't get to call that protection. You decided for me." Towanda remained silent. Rather, she told her other sibling everything over the phone. That sibling claims that Towanda's revelation altered their perspective of the whole circumstance. Threats of exposure, external pressure.